What's up, guys? My name is Garrett,
And I'm Jabin.
and this is Cross Country Comments. So we got the special kind of week for you, I suppose, that Jabin was mentioning in the last episode that just went up yesterday. We are going to be doing multiverse comments, and basically what that is we are going to be going through all four phases of Marvel. We're going to do one per day, and today, Monday, obviously, as you're watching or listening. We are doing phase one of Marvel. We're going to go through every movie, give our opinions on it. We already agreed that we do want to keep it, try to keep it under an hour, because we can ramble about this stuff for a long time. So we're super excited about that. Again, this is all our opinions. We're going to let it out there. You may agree with some of it. You may disagree with a lot of it. Who knows? So we're real excited. Any notes before we start?
No, just letting everyone know that we will only be covering the movies and TV shows. So the Marvel one-shots, the little fun stuff, we are not rating. Obviously, they are not canon to the MCU just because, they're conflicting with different storylines. So yeah, just movies and TV shows, and hope you guys enjoy and try to relate to how we look at movies.
Indeed. All right. So let's get this started. No more we don't need to talk about anything else really. We'll just get right into it. And I mean the first one's pretty obvious. So first one we're starting with is Iron Man. And we are going in release order. We're not going in chronological order because that goes all over the place. But release order. So first, Iron Man. I think we can universally have an opinion about this one because, I mean, let's be honest. It's, I'll let you start with Iron Man. I'll start with the next one.
Okay. So Iron Man, just so that everyone can get in the same page right now. This movie came out in 2008. Now, in the early 2000s and like early 90s and late 90s, whatever, superhero movies were just not doing too great. Agreed?
Yeah, I could agree with that.
Ben Affleck's Daredevil, even though I like it, it got a lot of people thought it was really horrible. I personally really liked it.
Elektra.
Huh?
Elektra,
that was also really good. The two Fantastic Four movies, which I hold dear into my heart,
as do I,
still didn't get a high enough rating for a lot of people. The 2003 Hulk, which I think is probably the most accurate Hulk in my opinion, did horrible.
Yeah, it did.
So the fact that Iron Man came out and it went this huge, like a huge, like big thing, and after this movie, they were way more like how everyone responded to this universe. All of a sudden got birthed and people started taking it like way more serious. So obviously Iron Man is amazing. Out of 10, yeah, this is just a personal thing. So out of 10, I give it a personal bias 10. But yeah, the movie, the effects were fantastic, especially at the time. Yeah, there's not much I can say about it. It's just really good. Shoot.
Yeah, I mean, as funny as this is to say, now that we're a bit into the MCU, I feel like the first Iron Man is the most grounded superhero movie I've ever seen. Even though
I can relate to you, but I think there's more grounded ones, but I can relate to what you're saying.
Like grounded in the sense of there wasn't horrible CGI, there wasn't branching storylines. It was a consolidated, just good, well put together movie, but was also a superhero movie. And then I mean the whole twist with Obadiah Stane, if you didn't know anything from the comics, which when that came out, I didn't. Because I became a comic nerd. I became a comic nerd when the first Avengers came out.
Oh, that's right. Okay, see, my dad had the old school comic book, so I read all those. So as soon as I saw his face, I was like, oh, "That can't be Ironmonger." This is me at like 6 years old. That can't be Ironmonger. And then my dad showed me it was Ironmonger. I was like, "Oh!"
But
For me, like as a kid, that was like a big thing because my dad let me read all of his DC and Marvel comic books. So seeing him, that was huge for me. I was like, whoa, like he was my favorite villain at that time.
yeah, yeah. I'm gonna give that a 10 out of 10 as well. It's excuse me. It's not in my quote unquote top 3, but it's 10
Got
out
it.
of 10 just for the reasons of like starting what superhero movies are today.
Exactly. Agreed.
So, second movie we're covering, very controversial movie. Um we are covering The Incredible Hulk next. So, and we're talking about Edward Norton's Hulk. So,
Yep.
I have a very different opinion on this movie compared to what I've heard on the internet. Um, I think this is the best representation the Hulk has ever gotten. Um, and now, is it the most comic accurate? Maybe not. Is it the most brooding, terrifying monster Hulk we have ever gotten? Oh my gosh, yes. And that's what I want from my Hulk movies because I mean, the story may not have been the most cohesive and the action was spotty sometimes, but the pure rage and like the terror that Bruce Banner has of the Hulk is something that we have never seen since. Maybe a little bit, just a little bit in the first and second Avengers movies, but like the sheer terror that everyone had when seeing the Hulk. And I loved his design too. It looked like he was just like there was veins everywhere and his muscles looked like they were just going to pop out of his body. And I mean, when he screamed and would like hit his Hulk smash and his clap, I'm sorry, but like the nerd side of me and the comic side of me was like, that's my Hulk.
Yeah.
And so, just for the pure fact that it gave me my favorite version of the Hulk, I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I love watching that movie so much.
I'm giving that movie. I'm giving that movie a 6.
Okay.
I agree with you on everything you said about the Hulk. That is the best representation of what the Hulk is supposed to be. Um, I wish they went back to that original Hulk design because it was perfect.
Hmm.
They all, and the fight between him and Abomination was
Oh,
perfect. Even though Abomination wasn't comic accurate, I'd rather take that Abomination, especially with the bones sticking out and stuff like that, and you can
oh.
see him piercing the Hulk, and the Hulk is like getting even more anger, like rage, even though he's being getting beat out the crap out of, and then all of a sudden Hulk grabs a chain and just pulls this fool back, like you better really like it was pure it was pure raw, just like WWE, ugh. And it made you want to go out and just smash cars or whatever. Like just that intensity was just insanity. There is no other movie that can ever bring that amount of just insane amount of rage and strength put together to make it like just seem like it was a raw WWE kind of thing, but like times 10. So
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. That ending fight scene is probably one of the best fight scenes of all time, just movie wise. So, but what I have a problem with is that I don't feel like we got enough uh Hulk scenes, and I understand why,
Yeah.
but because obviously at this time it's a superhero movie, not sure if it was gonna do good. So, and I'm a narrative person. So like it's really weird for me to say this, but I feel like I wanted way more Hulk scenes. Like I like the suspense that they did for like the different hallways and stuff like that, and grabbing different folks and whatever, and you didn't
Hmm.
see them. Like that's scary. I just wanted to see him more, and they did my man Stanley dirty. Like
They did.
that fool's dead.
Yeah.
You can't kill off Stanley like that. That's Jack. So So yeah, that's why I brought it down. But the reason why it's still over 5 is because of the raw just strength and battling that Hulk and Abomination did that I really love, and really good acting,
Oh my
fantastic
gosh,
acting.
yeah. Oh yeah. So okay, some that may have some different opinions online. We'd love to hear what you guys think about it.
Yes.
If you guys are listening podcast, just remember we are also posting this on YouTube. I know you can't, make comments on podcasts, but if you guys do want to go over to our YouTube and let us know what you think about some of these opinions, we would love to hear it. It's the same name as the podcast name. Just look it up. Let us know. We'd love your feedback. So,
Yes, sir.
okay, next one. I will let you start it off.
Okay, you do not agree with me with this at all, and I have the feeling. Okay, I know. Iron Man 2. Oh my god. What is there not to love about this movie? I'm pointing out my favorite parts, and it's going to be the whole movie. Oh my god. The fact that we get Don Cheadle as War Machine now, or James Rhodes. Magnificent. And the way they like replace him so good in that court scene saying, I'm here, deal with it, let's move on. I love that because that was for the fans, like, oh my god. But Hidachi was like, no, it's my turn, let's go. And we're like, all right. The court scene, great. I love Justin Hammer's character so much, and I love that Tony clowns on Justin Hammer constantly. I love that Tony Stark is getting killed by what's saving him. Genius. I love that you get hints of the next movie. Like this is the first time you actually get hints of the next movie in like parts in this movie, but not just one movie, but another movie. Like you see Captain America's shield like half off. You hear that Coulson needs to go to New Mexico, which is where Mjolnir is right now. Like I love how they start like putting in like, okay, we'll plan. And I love that Tony is trying to deal with something that he's never done before, and he's suffering for not knowing, and that he goes into an existential crisis because he's supposed to know everything. And I like that he learns more about his father. I like that him knowing more about his dad motivates him to try to do better. And he creates a freaking element. Like how do you create an element? Like he's on a different level of genius, but he rediscovered it, and it's like all this stuff is building up like for him to be a more well-rounded character. It's really amazing to see, and I love the character development because you see that in the first movie he tries to be more selfless, but then he goes right back to the bond saying I am Iron Man, getting all the attention. And then he starts off that way in Iron Man 2, and then he gets better just because of being with Pepper. Oh my god, and him and War Machine just getting at it at those robots, and War Machine just opening his arms with the machine guns or whatever. Amazing. Their team up was fantastic. I wish we got more of that. And my favorite joke in the whole MCU is in that movie when Justin Hammer is giving out the weapons to Rhodey in the military, and he takes out this small torpedo gun. He's like, this will take out the bunker inside the bunker that's inside that bunker, and he's hyping it up, and he says, I call it the ex-wife. That killed me. I was dying, and the fact that Rhodey used that and it didn't work made it so much funnier. And Tony was like, Hammer Tech, yeah. This whole movie and Whiplash, he scared the crap out of me because he's a really smart person. Like he scared me a lot, and I really thought that he was gonna win, especially with Tony being sick and all. Oh, and we get more Shield. Like this is the movie where they were like, okay, this is the movie that we're gonna start building the MCU off of, and this is why I respect this movie more than the other two behind. So this movie, I give it a 12 out of 10. I love this freaking movie.
Okay.
Now, did I persuade you?
So I never hated the movie. I'm gonna get that out of the way. I never
Mm-hmm.
hated Iron Man 2.
Sure,
I
sure.
didn't. I said it wasn't my favorite, but I never hated it. So
Mm,
when it comes to Iron Man 2, I agree with a whole lot of the points that you brought up. Justin Hammer's character is hilarious and just almost kind of terrifying with how smart he is.
yep.
Um the War Machine being brought in, I mean, we were waiting for that since the first Iron Man. So War Machine being brought in and seeing that minigun just on his shoulder and going to town back to back with Tony.
Yep.
Now that was awesome. Um
Yes, sir.
and I know to an extent it was fairly comic accurate. But
Yeah,
I
heavily.
didn't like Whiplash's character very much. He You said he scared the crap out of you. He did not have the same effect on me. Um I was looking at it in a sense of, okay, yes, he is very smart. I will give him that. He undercut Justin like massively and built his own suit that could go toe to toe with Iron Man and Rhodey, and the only way they killed him was by potentially sacrificing themselves. So I will agree with you. He is incredibly smart. And the racetrack scene, he was terrifying. That was the one scene where I was like, okay, this dude can be scary. But I feel like the first time we see him as like Whiplash on the track, and then the last time are good scenes. Everything in between, I don't know. I just didn't like his character very much. Like the whole, I want my bird. I want my bird. And then just like him in prison talking to Justin Hammer. I don't know. He just, to me, felt out of place. Um,
Here's here's I'm about to change your mind right now. Watch. This is how scary his character was, all right?
okay.
What why is he so interested in Tony Stark? Do you remember?
I believe it's because the missiles killed his parent.
Heck no.
It's been a while since I've seen
That's
it.
why no, you not remembering why he's so interested is why you don't like his character. Now, watch this. Howard and Whiplash's dad were homies.
Oh.
He Howard is the reason why they did so much for Stark Industries. It was him and Howard. After the Russian guy, Whiplash's dad, started getting just a little bit insane, Howard deported his butt back to Russia.
Oh.
So his dad had a son and tried to raise him up to be the smartest that he can so that he can beat Tony because he was butthurt that he deported his butt to Russia. So the first thing you see is Whiplash seeing his dad die. He starts wailing, crying of like a battle cry, and automatically goes to work on an arc reactor. How do you get to work on an arc reactor and then show up after Tony said in court that people that aren't going to have this technology in 10 years? You see someone have it in like 2 hours. That's a that's a mind shock. Like, whoa, you just went to court telling the Seoul Senate to shove it up your butts because you're not gonna have this in like 10 years. And here's someone on a freaking racetrack taking out folks with the same technology. That's why it was so scary, because they try to build up his character and try to make a connection with Tony so that Tony could feel like that he's taken his dad's sins. Because that's why Whiplash resents Tony. That's why he was scary. That's why he was like, I want my board, because he wanted to keep his intentions to himself. So, is he going to tell Justin Hammer why he doesn't like Tony? No, he's going to use Justin Hammer to take out Tony. He's manipulating everyone. Like that's how scary he is, and he almost won. He almost won, and that's why even though he died, he said you lose because he's gonna about to lose Pepper. Like it's He's a scary villain just because he thinks ahead, ahead, and ahead, and he kept losing. That's why Nick Fury said, "You are staying in this box until you can figure it out, because you're going to die, or you're going to lose if you go up against him if you're not in the right mind." That's how scary Whiplash is.
I forgot about that, and I will agree with you. That does make him scarier, and I will also give Iron Man 2 props because it introduced Black Widow.
Yep, yep.
Okay, so considering all of that, I am going to go ahead and give it an 8.7. I'm
Okay,
gonna have
I
to
respect that.
I'm gonna have to watch it again if I might want it to be any higher, but
Yeah,
that's
no,
what
no.
I'm.
I encourage you to watch it again, knowing what you know now. Go into it. It'll tell you the story. You'll be like, "Oh crap!" Trust
Okay,
me.
fair, fair. All right, next is the first Thor movie. So when it comes to the first Thor movie, I I very much enjoyed this movie.
I
Um,
love it.
because I'm not gonna lie, dude. Like you're talking about scary villains, the Destroyer. I I about crapped myself more than a few times watching him come down to a human city and having like that tornado thing that Thor makes and having him still blast out of it. Oh my gosh. So aside from that, I love story arcs where someone goes from being cocky and like just just a douchebag and
Yeah,
then has to learn humility in order to be who they were, but in a different way. So I love stories like that, and that was Thor's story in this movie. And it also showed the painful backstory of Loki
yeah,
because you actually this is the first movie where you feel substantially bad for the villain.
yeah,
So, I mean, Iron Man 2, you feel a little bad because his dad deported his dad, and I mean, it's bad. But this is the first time where you're like, Loki is just like broken.
mm-hmm.
And when he tries to manipulate everyone and go from there, you're like, I don't fully blame him
Yeah,
because dude got lied to for his entire life and overshadowed by his brother. And once he finds out his origins, he loses it. Because he's literally the child of their enemies. And I don't know, just all of that plus I loved Jane Foster in the first movie. She was awesome, and then Darcy was hilarious. Um, and then just the general gist of seeing Thor interact in a human world when he had no knowledge of Earth was the funniest thing. Oh, I
yeah,
love that. And the fact that you don't know if Loki lives or dies by the end of the movie is one of the big questions you have until you see like the trailer for the Avengers. So, it was just people hate on it. I will say it's not my favorite Marvel movie by any means, but it was just like a good origin. I like their Marvel does good origins most of the time. Most of the
yes.
time, most of their origins are solid.
No,
Um,
I agree with you.
So I think Thor's origin and the way they set it up and the way Odin spoke into the hammer to put just that I can replay that scene in my head 1,000 times. Just whoever may hold this possess the power of Thor, and just sends that hammer. I don't know. I'm talking way too much about it. It's like I said, not my favorite,
No,
but
no, no. Keep going, dude.
there was a lot of points in it that he just dab sneezed. Okay. Um but for those of you that are just listening, that's what he did. Um, but I don't know. There was a lot I liked about it, so I will give the first Thor movie a. I don't. That's the thing. I don't want to be one of those people who's like, oh, he rated everything high. No, I just think Phase One had very few missteps. So as we get into the later phases, you'll hear my ratings change very drastically on different movies. but Phase
Agreed.
1 was close to flawless. Close.
Mhm,
So the first Thor movie, I would give like a 8.4.
mhm.
I very, very much enjoyed that movie. It's one that I would go back to occasionally. I wouldn't watch it like over and over and over. But if it was on TV or if I saw it, I'd be like, ah, now I kind of have a craving to watch it. But loved that movie.
Um, they understood how to make a Viking type of movie, and the way they started it off with teaching us a little bit about some Norse mythology in the beginning was a perfect, just a chef's kiss. Like it really brought us into the world that they're in. It was a fantastic introduction to Asgard. They didn't show us too much of Asgard just in case they wanted to change it later, and they showed us enough so that we can understand what Asgard looks like and how the people are living there. Um, the acting in this is so underrated in my opinion, especially coming from Tom Hiddleston
Oh yeah.
and the guy who plays Odin's character. Their interactions are superb, especially when they talk to each other.
In that hallway
When
scene when he's like, "Who am
yeah,
I?"
yeah, and especially when Loki just walks up to the throne, he's like, "You don't want to see a frustrated as on the throne of Asgard." And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, Odin goes in his Odin sleep, but like painfully, like that. That to me is like so like impactful. It like scared me because oh my god, Loki, chill out. Like your dad is going to his Odin sleep. We're not sure if he's gonna wake up. And it gave you something scared about to give you an Asgard, and it gave you something scared about on Earth. You know what I mean? It made you care about both. And I like that when you're on this journey with Thor, he learns that same thing. Like being a king isn't just ruling everything and killing everybody and trying to be have glory. It's about protecting people when you're on that throne. And I like that he doesn't want to take it yet just because he knows he's not there. Like he just understood by living on Earth how much people in general are to their world in each realm. So like in Earth or Midgard, like he cares about that more, and now he's gonna care more about other ones as you see in the next phase. Like it's really interesting to see his uh his character development and seeing his actions after he's learned what he has learned. And it's so cool seeing him be way more wiser at the end. That makes him seem much more powerful, and that's kind of what made him more powerful in the end, and made him break the Bifrost. Like it was so cool. Like this whole movie just took you in different turns and tried to tug on your like emotional strings too. It was really good. So, in my opinion, again, I know, like you said, like the high ratings guy, but yeah, like you said, they did Phase One a lot of justice just because I feel like they were too afraid to like mess up. So, in my personal bias opinion, it was a 10 just because it made me want to be in Asgard.
That's fair.
So,
That's fair. I'm trying to be very careful with how many tens I give things, just because I
hmm
want to reserve my tens for like my favorites.
yeah,
But
I feel that.
that's just me. But that's why I'm not giving very many things 10. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so next one. So we let's see. Let's see. So it was you, me. Okay, so this is your turn to start.
All right. I know you wanted to start
I
this one
did
so
want to
bad.
start this one.
You know what? This I have a lot to say about it, but I'll give it to you this time.
No, no, no. I'm gonna give it to you because I really want to start the next one because the next one I have a lot of backstory for.
Okay, okay, okay. Ah, believe it or not, this is my first MCU movie that my father let me watch.
Oh, I did not
hmm
know that.
This is the very first one. And this has been my favorite Marvel movie all the way till the second phase. this movie made me feel some type of way about this character, about Captain America. Captain America, the first Avenger, was my favorite Marvel movie of all time for a while. Um, I don't know. The thing is, I never liked Captain America in the comic books. Never. He was annoying, and I was tired of him talking about being a patriot every 2 seconds. This brought me liking a different side to him because yeah, he was a patriot guy. Like yeah, he wants to do, he wants to serve his country. Cool, but this gave him a different edge of not worrying about his country per se anymore. It made him try to be the best version that he can be for other people. And I think that's what made his character so lovable, is because in the beginning, the only thing he has is his heart. He doesn't have anything else. If anything, he's actually sick. So seeing him all of a sudden become a super soldier, like he was expected to be a super soldier, you see that it enhanced everything that he was supposed to be at that point just because he's such a good person. And I like that it showed the opposite, which was the Red Skull. It's gonna make you not have any skin no more. It'll make you strong, but you ain't gonna look good. So I love the dynamic between the two, and I like that Red Skull actually should have won. I was like, whoa, Red Skull is winning. Captain America barely got out of there alive. Like it was crazy, and I like that he doesn't ever the lose thinking about other people. Did that make sense? He
Yeah.
he doesn't lose that itch of him caring about other people, and that's why I love this movie so much. Is because I love seeing him think about the next person constantly, because he never thinks about himself. He puts himself on the line when he was skinny, when he was Captain America, when he was in the ship. Like it had to be what is the best decision for everyone, and if it takes sacrificing me, I will not even think twice about it. And it was just freaking amazing. And Peggy, amazing. The general, amazing. The scientist, amazing. That dude is an incredible actor, an amazing German accent in this movie.
Artem
Um,
Zola, are you talking about?
no, not Arnim Zola, the German scientist. Because he's Swiss, but the German scientist that makes the serum.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he amazing. Yeah, Arnim Zola was good too. Seeing how scared he was of Hydra. Oh, and we get more of Hydra. Like that's an awesome thing. Red Skull, incredible acting. I like that this is the first time we actually get to see an Infinity Stone. Fantastic. And I think that's all I can really say about that. And the special effects were amazing, and it made it feel like it was an old school movie for a minute, just because on how the background was and whatever. And yeah, I just loved it. It was just all around fantastic movie. And just so you know, if my tens are how much I enjoyed it, you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like that's why I'm giving all these tens, because this brought me joy. You'll see later the phases where they will fluctuate, but this is what gave me joy. And like you said, but right now the origins are too on point. Don't have any problems with this. So since I have no problems with anything right now, 10. Captain America, First Avenger, 10. Now, your turn.
So when it comes to Captain America has been in my top three favorite superheroes, and at a lot of points, number one. Um, I mean, as you can see back on my wall, if you're watching the video, if not, I have like an Avengers poster, a Black Panther, and then two Spider-Man posters. One of him getting out of the grave, another one with like different Spider-Men from the Spider-Verse, not from the movie, but just comics. So but on my other wall, I have a picture of Captain America standing over a Nazi. And it's awesome. It looks great. I bought it at Comic-Con type thing. So, thing about Captain America is um I I can see where you're coming from because you were a comic nerd way before I was.
Yep.
Um so coming into comics later, I never got that annoying side of him where he was,
Yeah.
oh, patriot. So I actually loved that side of him in the movies, and I mean, even a bit in the comics, how patriotic he was. Because I mean, I'm fairly patriotic as well.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so I liked seeing that, and I liked I and this is gonna sound really weird and almost come off as conceited, but I really don't want it to. But I felt like I almost related to him a little bit because he was just a little guy trying to do the right thing.
Yeah.
Um,
No, growing up with you, you definitely relate to Captain America, so don't worry. That's not conceited. That's actually what they want. Like they want you to relate to the character as much as you can. So the fact that you did that, that means that they did their job. So
that's
you're
fair.
good.
So with like, because I was a small kid, I was not tall, I was not large. That came later, but I was a fairly small kid. So seeing little tiny Captain America, little tiny Steve Rogers, take the extra step and get the flag when no one else would, by just pulling the pin and being smarter than everyone else instead of using what he didn't have. He used what he did have. And so that plus the fact of self-sacrifice, like the fact that he didn't care about his life. Well, he did, but not to the point to where he cared about his life, but he cared about others more. So when I saw him like jump on that grenade, I was like, wow. So he cares about others so much that he would self-sacrifice himself instantly in training. So that proved that he was not doing it for the fame, the glory, the women, nothing like that. That was people are in danger, I'm there. And I also very much found it funny and loved the fact that Peggy, the one that every one of the soldiers wanted to get with, was attracted to the most unattractive guy. And I don't know, as like a kid watching that, I was like, why is that? But now that I'm a little older, I was like, man's got swag that everyone else doesn't see.
Yeah.
Like I I don't know. I just found it funny that when he was in his smaller form, she was just as attracted to him. Maybe not physically, because actually Haley Atwell did touch his body after the transformation. That wasn't supposed to happen. Um,
Right.
which I mean, it's Chris Evans, so I don't fully blame her.
Facts.
But she liked him before the transformation. Like she wanted him to be safe, and she wanted to check on him. And she was about to jump in there and rip the machine apart when she heard him scream. So the fact that it just shows how people can be good. it,
Mhm.
it just shows that there are good people in the world. um, and I'm talking about Peggy and Steve here, but
Yep.
just the transformation of Captain America and the fact that they used him as propaganda at first, which is something they would totally do back then because they were just like, oh, we want more people to fight. We want more people to sign up for the war. We want this, and this. And so they just put him as the poster boy after giving him a literal super soldier serum. um, so the fact that he was told he was going to go fight for his country through an experiment that worked, and then they put him up as propaganda, and he was like, nah, screw this. I'm going in behind the lines with a helmet that's not mine in my little propaganda suit, and then they'll tell me I can't do any good. Let's see about that. And
Mhm.
went and rescued the Howling Commandos.
Yep.
And I don't know, that kind of stuff was just so God, I wanted to fight a Nazi after that.
Same.
I,
Same.
I think I actually took my little BB gun that I had at the time out to the backyard and set up cans after that movie.
Yeah, see, I had the little wood toy like rifle and try to like hide like behind weeds and stuff and be like, over here, guys, over here. I was so
uh,
small.
that's something that I've always wanted. By the way, little side note: the Marvel Legends Captain America shield. I've wanted that shield for like 3 years now, and I will get it at some point. Uh,
And talking about the shield, I like that they changed it from the original comics because his shield was supposed to be made of adamantium, which If people don't know what that is, that's the metal that's inside of Wolverine, and that's why he has those knife knuckles or whatever. And I like that they made his shield this time vibranium, because not only is it more, even though it's fake, it's more scientifically accurate with the vibrations and how it bounces back or whatever. But it gives you a hint of, oh, who knows? We might get into Wakanda later, and they were planning that from this movie. Is kind of like really like insane, to where they were like, no, let's put Wakanda, like Black Panther, in there somehow. We'll wait. I love that so much, that they were planning this far back. And when I realized that later, when I was like, after I realized that after the second phase, and going back to watching the Captain America movie, I was like, oh, Black Panther might be coming soon, and that made me so excited, just because I wanted to see how they would depict Black Panther in the MCU, just because in the comic books he's such a hardcore character. I wanted to see how far they would go, and see, like, maybe see some X-Men at the, well, never happened, but when we were stupider,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted to see X-Men. I wanted to see Storm, like, be in Wakanda and whatever. So I was really excited. So this movie really was like hinting a whole bunch of stuff at you. So
Yeah.
this was definitely a really good movie.
Yeah. So overall, just like the fact that he barely knew how to fight,
Yeah.
um, but then as the montage goes on, um, it it shows him progressively getting better with guns and with fighting. And then the fact that he wants to sacrifice himself if need be so badly, he wants to protect people. That when Bucky did it for him and Bucky fell, I mean, that was already heartbreaking. But the fact that he tries to get drunk, he tries to go to a broken down bar and Peggy finds him, and he tries to get drunk because that was the first time he'd lost someone that close to him. So he was like, I just don't want to feel this anymore, because he
Mm.
couldn't and didn't know how to handle loss. And he blamed himself, and all that kind of stuff is stuff that people with that mindset do. When you care about people to that extent and you lose them that quickly because they were protecting you, something you wanted to do for them, it breaks you. And so I feel
Mhm.
like they depicted that incredibly with him. Um,
Definitely.
and then, I mean, the last ending fight was great. This is a movie introduced the Tesseract. Um, and I mean, just the end when he's asking Peggy for one last dance, or she asks him, and then he goes into the ice. And then I almost feel like the ending when he wakes up in quote unquote the hospital, and it almost is presented as like a mystery horror moment almost.
Oh no, it definitely was. It was supposed to be like a mystery suspense, just because you don't know where you are.
Yeah, because it was like, okay, we saw him crash a giant ship into the ocean. There is no way
Hmm.
they got him into a hospital. And when
Hmm.
he says the line, "This is such and such game," I know because I was there. And you see
Hmm.
her face go all concerned. First time I saw that movie, I was like, "Oh crap!" And then you see
Yeah.
him bust out of the fake hospital into current day New York. I mean, I didn't even hardly know what the Avengers was at this point. But
Oh, okay.
When I saw Nick Fury roll up, I was like, he was in the Iron Man movie. And
Uh-huh.
and then stuff started to click, and I started to do a little bit of research, and so that was like kind of the jumping off point, but I wasn't too into it yet. But oh my
Hmm.
gosh, that I am giving that movie a 10 out of 10. I don't even care.
There you go.
So it was so good. Um okay. So last movie of phase 1, correct?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay. So last movie of phase 1, the first Avengers movie. Not Captain America the First Avenger, the first Avengers movie.
Yep.
Um so I as I said before, this is the movie that made me a nerd. I specifically remember some of my friends at the time. We got a group of like 15 of us together, and they were like, "Hey, we've been waiting in line all." This was before you could reserve seats. They were like, "Hey, we've been waiting in line at the movie theater for like 8 hours. and we're able to bring a few more people. Do you and so want to come with us?" Like, yeah. I mean, it's a movie. I don't really know what it's about, but sure. And so I went and I sat through the movie. I specifically remember walking out of that movie theater going, I need to know more.
Mhm.
That can't be it. I need to know more now. And
Mhm.
because I wasn't used to continuation movies at that point. So I was like, oh, that was it. Um and the fact that I'm gonna try and run through this a little quick just so I'm not rambling, but the fact that each character had their own introduction in the beginning of the movie, I feel like a lot of movies have lost that touch of giving each character a single. I mean, technically, Hawkeye didn't really have one. Also, I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. If I have one gripe with this movie, one, it's that they did Hawkeye so dirty. They did him so dirty. Like I get it. I get that it was mind control from Loki, and it was part of the story to make Loki even more terrifying that he could take over an Avenger that quick. I get that, but at the same time, I love Hawkeye's character so much that in later movies, that seeing him be a brainless, mindless drone hurt a little bit, but at the same time, it didn't ruin the experience for me because seeing him snap out of that and then be like, "I'm first in line." I was like, "Oh." So, I mean, yeah, he didn't bring enough arrows. That's the thing everyone always says. But the fact that, Captain America was in the old school gym and Bruce Banner, now played by Mark Ruffalo, was hiding out just trying to help people. Um, Hawkeye did his thing. Natasha was getting interrogated. I mean, you know where everyone was, and then Coulson went to go get Tony. The whole deal. So the fact that each of them got an individual thing was awesome in my opinion, and then they brought them together on the helicarrier. Um, but then you see Loki for the first time since Thor, and he is terrifying. Um, the fact that he, like I said, takes over one Avenger immediately. And then after he takes over that Avenger, he proceeds to gouge out a guy's eye, smiling. You're
Yep.
like, okay, this is not the sad "I feel bad for you, brother" from Thor. And so
Nope.
gouges out the eye, and then takes a whole building hostage outside and tells them all to kneel. Um, and then I'm sorry, but I have that scene where Captain America jumps in front of him and is like, what did he say? Uh,
Last time I was in Germany, saw Stan standing up all for himself. We ended up disagreeing.
That's right. So seeing that, and he goes, "The soldier," and then they go at it, and I mean they're pretty evenly matched when it comes to fighting skills.
Mhm.
So, and then hearing "Shoot to Thrill" in the background, he's just like, "I'm on my way." And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna describe every scene, but the fact that this movie made me a nerd gives me so much appreciation for it. And then Loki's overall plan to just disrupt the Avengers and unleash the Hulk and then go after the helicarrier. Like the whole deal was genius on his part. Um and then I mean this was the quote unquote death of Coulson, which hurt a little. It hurt a lot.
Yeah.
But at the very end, you see them broken, you see them separated. It's horrible. And then seeing them all rise back up, and at the very end, they have the circle, and you just hear dun 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 dun. That was the first time in a movie. Well, not the first time, but the time I can remember when I got chills down my spine, and I was like, so, oh my gosh. Overall, I'm not gonna harp on it too much anymore, but great movie. The fact that Tony and Steve were arguing about, oh, you wouldn't be the man to lay yourself down on the line. Um, he sacrifices himself potentially, and then at the same time, the line where it was like everything about special about you came out of a bottle. you don't get leadership skills like that from a bottle. So, just the contrast of everything that happened in this one movie. This movie didn't need like two previous Avengers movies for them to become a team. It just required them to have this conflict and to go, you know what? There's bigger stakes and we're adults. So let's get over it. And that's
It
essentially what they
wasn't.
did.
It wasn't just that though. They needed to avenge something.
Uh-huh.
That was the problem. Is that they were just going in and just doing something. They needed something to actually save that was already broken.
Which was
They needed
Coulson.
to. Yeah, exactly. They needed to avenge Coulson. And then that ended up being we need to avenge the entire of New York. So
Yeah.
we needed, avenge Manhattan. Um no, yeah,
So
I totally get you on that. So
so this movie, I give it 100 out of 10. I mean, movie that made me into a nerd, how is it not going to get a high rating from? Like I think after this I went and I over the next I mean I met you a couple years later. So at that point I was fairly knowledgeable about comics and I had looked up everything. Captain America, Iron Man, da 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 da. That was all I did in my free time in between school. So 100 out of 10, loved it. I'm going to shut up now.
no, you're good. No, just so you know, I didn't watch any of these movies in the theater up to halfway through this second phase. So
Oh.
all of this I watched at home on Blu-ray with my dad.
Oh.
Just because we didn't have a lot of money, so he waited till it was on Blu-ray and then bought it, and then we watched it at home. So I
Yeah.
never experienced any of these movies phase one in the theater. Um, my dad brought the biggest TV ever, got this movie, sat the whole family down, turned the lights off, and said, "Let's do this." I had no idea what was going on. Oh my god, as soon as I saw a weird alien talking and this cube showing up, I was like, that's the cube. That's the cube from Captain America. We're watching a Marvel movie. So I started going crazy. And then when I saw Captain America and Iron Man fight, since I was still a child, I looked to my dad. I was like, "Am I supposed to be watching this?" Because there was this comic book that was called Civil War that my dad would not let me read. He said it was way too intense for me to read. So I saw Captain America and Iron Man fight, like talk fight, and I was like, "Dad, is this the one that I can't watch?" He was like, "No, it's okay. Keep watching." I was like, "Oh, okay." So I thought this was gonna be Civil War. I thought this was the one where they were just gonna fight just because they didn't like each other. So I was really hyped about that. But then later on, when I saw them, avenge, and do their thing, I was like, huh, this is really awesome. This reminds me of, and then as soon as I about to say, reminds me of the old school Avengers, I was like, I was an idiot back then. I was like, oh, Dad, it's like that one comic book you have is the Avengers comic book. He was like, oh, Javen, oh, you idiot. And then as soon as you see Thanos in the end credit scene, I got so scared because my dad said at the time that there's this guy named Thanos and he wants to kill everyone or half of everyone, and that he almost did in the comic books. So as soon as I saw that chin, I was like, Dad, is it that one scroll dude thingy named Thanos or whatever? Because my thing was scrolls. I loved scrolls back then when I was little. I had like little toy scrolls that like changed. But I was like, Dad, is that one scroll dude that you keep talking about? He was like, Yep. I was like, Oh no. I was like, when is he coming? So this was the main movie that made me excited for a whole bunch of things in the future and made me want to play with my toys anymore. Because I had a small comic book Thanos, I had a small scroll that had the Human Torch, Invisible Woman, Mr. Fantastic, and Thing's powers all in one. So that was scary. And I had Iron Man, Ironmonger. I had a whole bunch of Marvel like comic book toys that I would play with. So seeing that like made me play with my toys even more and reenact my own Avengers movie. I was going crazy because of this movie. So yeah, this movie definitely elevated what superhero movies are supposed to do, even when you have like six characters in the same movie, and still make it really well written and done. Um, yeah, this was just amazing. It's just an amazing movie. 100 out of 10. I'm with you.
I'm gonna make a little side note. This movie has one of my favorite lines of ever from Marvel, from movies in general, and it's a funny line. It's not one of those like, oh, that line hit deep. Like I didn't know hardly anything about the Avengers, and I was rolling in my seat. And that was the what Shakespeare in the Park. Doth mother
Uh,
know you weareth her drapes?
yeah, that
Dude,
was
I was
hilarious.
losing it in the theater. But oh man, yeah, incredible movie. But I
Yeah,
think that is the end of phase one.
that is the end of phase one, my guy. So, I think we can both agree that literally almost every single one of these movies deserves a high enough ranking. Phase one definitely is an amazing, fantastic start for the future of the MCU. So yeah, I think that's that for phase one.
Absolutely, absolutely incredible. Not only start to Marvel, but just an incredible line of movies that just didn't miss. Like they may
Yeah,
have a little bit for some people, but to me and
no, but
you,
they didn't miss.
they didn't miss. So, all right, that's our rankings for that. Again, we'd love to hear what you guys think. Head on over to our YouTube channel. Go ahead and comment what you think. Because we want this to be more of a discussion. Because again, these are all opinions. So if you guys disagree with us, if you fully agree with us, if you have a different perspective, we'd love to hear stories or opinions or anything like that. Go ahead and put them down below.
Yeah, definitely. And if you know anyone else who likes this kind of stuff, send this video to them and see what they think about it, and let them heckle us like for real. Like that's kind of what we want, and just keep this going and get ready for Tuesday because that's gonna be our phase two.
Yeah, tomorrow's phase two. So super thankful for you guys listening and watching. And we hope to see you in the next one. So that is going to be it for this time. We will talk to you guys later. See you in the next
All
one.
right, catch you later.
Bye.